with Falcon football coach John O'Grady. And John, the Falcons went on the road last week and picked up a hard-earned 20-17 win at Northwestern College. Can you tell us a little bit more about that game?
Very pleasing victory, especially after they came to our place last year and beat us, really kind of handily. A couple of their players really had great games a year ago. So we were really very concerned going in because those guys and a number of their other offensive stars were back. Their quarterback, their great receiver a year ago had 300 total offensive yards or all-purpose yards, and we're very pleased. Our corners, I think, played a good game. One of the reasons Gajewski was chosen as defensive player limited him to 3 catches for 30 yards. Although, keeping that quarterback in check was difficult because he is such a quick guy. But nice win on the road, nice little place they have over there. Hot, humid day that had watered the field. It slowed the surface down. Our running game, I think, in the end, being able to get first downs there with allowing us to run the clock out. Pleased with those kind of things.
John, named as the team's offensive player of the week was junior running back Ahmad Palmer. He rushed for 114 yards and averaged 6.3 yards per carry. Could you talk about Ahmad's play a little bit?
Not surprised at all. Ahmad had struggled a little bit carrying the football the the St. John's week, but this guy's got a tremendous amount of talent. He's the biggest tailback that we have. He is a somewhat elusive guy and runs very powerfully. So very, very pleased with his production. Again, in the end, he ended up being the workhorse, helping us to get the first downs and run the clock out. I think the Falcons are going to see a lot of this guy over the next 2 years.
John, you already mentioned Matt Gajewski, the sophomore corner, was named the team's defensive player of the week. He had 2 tackles, but as you mentioned, more importantly, he had a great game against Northwestern's top receiver. Can you talk about Matt's play?
Yeah, he was locked up on the Thomford kid, their receiver, quite a bit throughout the game. He had 2 pass breakups. I think at least one of them, the intention was the ball was to be thrown to him. Asking a corner to play that kind of kid, and we weren't locked up man-to-man all day, but we did quite a bit. And Matt is a very talented guy. He's one of the strongest kids we have, and he's got really explosive speed and really did a great job. Our corners are not hopefully going to have to make a lot of tackles, so that isn't going to appear very good statistically. But that's just not part of what we do. Being able to cover and break passes up and cover good receivers. That's what those guys need to do, and he did it pretty well.
The special teams player of the week was place kicker Chad Blair. The freshman kicked both extra points he tried and also kicked 2 field goals, 20 yards and 36 yards. Talk about Chad's play.
Yeah, Chad came in here. We recruited 3 kickers and really added a 4th one with Jake Erickson, who does play another position. We told all 3 or 4 of those guys when they came in the competition would be open, and it was. And over time, Chad throughout the preseason showed that he was the most consistent and accurate kicker that we had. He doesn't have the strongest leg of the 3, but he has been very consistent and has really caught my eye. He's made 3 or 4 field goal attempts so far this year and hasn't missed a PAT. It's unfortunate, but if you look back in the last few years, going back through Jesse Feiner, who struggled some, and even to Spazimir Badursky, we were very inconsistent in PAT production and particularly field goals, kicking maybe 50 or 60%. So right now we're very pleased, and it just bodes well for the future. I think being able to count more on being successful on those attempts than we have in the past.
John, looking ahead, Saturday's homecoming, and another special event going on. The Falcons are going to be welcoming back the 1979 team and the 1984 team. Could you tell us a little bit about what's going on there?
Sure. Well, 79 first, because they came first. I was still coaching here as a student coach with Coach Farley, and I think that was Coach Teddy Thompson's first year, replacing Coach Fishbane as our D coordinator. Had a great defense. Can remember a lot of those names. Mike McMartin, Jack Skalicki, Jim Stapleton was here. Just numbers of really good defensive players. And then offensively, you know, the wishbone was really rolling, really beginning to roll in that era. Jimmy Abs, who's going into our Hall of Fame, was our quarterback. Played well enough to advance to the NEI playoffs. I was on the trip with the team going down to San Angelo, Texas. Played an outstanding team. I think Clayton Weisham, their middle linebacker, ended up being a 5-year NFL player. And it's always interesting to me, as I've talked to Coach Farley about that. The score looks a little offside, but he made a discovery about a formation late in the game that he wished he'd have done in the fourth quarter. It may have changed it a little bit, but that was a great team, both offensively and defensively, and really had a lot of success. 1984, I was gone. I don't know as many of those guys. I wasn't here. I don't know as many as well, but I think Steve Frannell, another guy who was going into our River Falls Hall of Fame, was on that team. I think Steve was probably one of the best linebackers we've ever had. Named like Jim Bennick, I know, was on that team, and numerous others. I think that was the start of a 4-year straight conference title team for Coach Farley.
John, looking ahead, Falcons will host Alma at the homecoming game. Kickoff is set for 1 o'clock out at Raymer Field. Hope a big crowd shows up for us. What do you know about the Scots?
Well, we played them a year ago. We were very, very concerned a year ago defending their offense. They're pretty much a no-huddle team. They're in shotgun all the time. They have an outstanding quarterback who really throws well and can also hurt you scrambling. In some ways, we thought he had a little bit better arm than the kid we had played previously at Northwestern. Taller, bigger, but really a threat running the ball. And we went over there and really played very well. Offense put up some points, and defense made some really big stops. I remember a 4th down play. I think we stopped a fake punt. But it was a big win. They've got a good football team returning. I think they've lost a lot of their defensive starters and a few offensive guys, but the quarterback is back, and he is a major concern.
John, good luck to the Falcons this week. We'll be talking to you next week. And for Falcon Sports, this is Jim Thies.